Good Saturday morning to you. I'm Eastern PA Weather 30 meteorologist Bobby Martich, and this is your outlook for December 27th and 28th, 2014, the weekend outlook. And we're going to start off with high pressure to our south here, and it's going to be control of our weather here on Saturday. With the return flow around this high pressure, we have a clockwise flow and southwesterly winds that will be coming in here. Not very strong, but strong enough that's going to get a lot of our coverage area into the 50s here. And I'm talking about this entire area, especially across the eastern areas, will all be in the 50s, maybe some 40s you're stuck in back here from State College over to Williamsport, but and up to Scranton. But other than that, everywhere else is 50 or above, and it's going to be a nice warm afternoon for this time of year. Normal highs this time of year are in the 30s for normal highs, so obviously a big difference in temperature here, with temperatures being in the low to mid 50s across our coverage area here. As we go a little bit further here, we're going to have a cold front that's going to move through here on Sunday. This is in association with this low pressure that's just north of Maine here, sitting right about here. And here's your cold front sitting right like this, moving down with it. And this is going to be slow to move in. It's going to stall over our coverage area somewhere, and we still have to determine where exactly that's going to be, where that stall occurs. Now, the GFS is what's being shown here. This is showing a little bit different of an evolution with this, as the actually has an area of enhanced precipitation. This is falling in the form of rain here, and this will be Sunday afternoon, and it does show some very light snow on the very northern half here, but non-accumulating light snow, not a big deal. And then it's out of here pretty quickly, and then the front then pushes to the south and pushes through. The frontal boundary actually pushes pretty far to the south, kind of like this. So since it's pretty far to the south, any area low pressure that forms along this boundary, which this does have doing, exits off the coast, but pretty far to the south here, where it doesn't allow it to really get any precipitation up into the cold air here. So since the GFS is more progressive with that frontal boundary, I'm going to move this a little bit ahead here and show you what it does here. It does develop an area of low pressure, but it does that a little bit further to the south here. See, it's off the Carolina coast here, all the way down here. Here's your area low pressure, but then instead of developing up here like the other models are doing it, it's down here, and that difference of placement here is making a difference of where the snow is setting up here. And I went a little bit too far here. Here's where the snow is setting up, right along I-95, because again, this is way down here by the Carolinas instead of up here like where the NAM and Canadian have it. So that difference here makes a difference of all this area getting snow Monday night into Tuesday, and just being confined to the I-95 corridor here. I do think it actually ends up a little bit further north here, because I don't think that front is quite as progressive. Now, I didn't include this in I have the Central PA forecast region. I didn't include this in the forecast officially yet for Monday night, but did mention the discussion. This is something we're going to be watching, just because we didn't have enough model support yet. But we're looking, the new model guidance we're looking at tonight, some of the shorter range models are starting to come in with something here, and we'll go over the NAM here. This is one of the things I mentioned. Again, this is a max range on the newest NAM here, but see what instead of being the low pressure center exiting down here, just east of the Carolinas here, low pressure center is now up here. So that's a big difference of further northwest. Now you're getting snow all the way up here in this area here. This is all falling in the form of snow now on the NAM, and what that does here, I'll show you the future radar here. This is a precipitation type radar, future simulated radar, looking at very, very early Tuesday morning. It's going to be late night, overnight, between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. And here is, these blues are all snow. You see how far north it gets too, and that's because this low pressure is sitting here and not sitting out here. It's a big difference. So that's going to allow us some more snow if that is in fact the case. And this is something that was shown today on the Canadian model. Here's the Canadian model as well. Same idea. These areas are all snow here up to the northwest of that, and that's because this low pressure system exited from here out to this way instead of down off the Carolina coast further to the south like this. So the GFS is doing this to here, and that difference between being further north is allowing this to get precipitation to get further north and back into the cold air. There isn't a doubt whether or not it's going to be snow or not. I mean, if you're talking about the areas inland, you're definitely talking about snow here, because it'll be cold enough for that. This will be, again, Monday night into Tuesday. This is what we're going to be watching for some snow. We're talking about generally 1 to 2 inch, 1 to 3 maybe inch snow amounts. Wouldn't be a surprise to see an area pick up 4, but generally a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 inch type snowfall overnight Tuesday night into Wednesday, and areas most likely northwest of I-95. So we'll follow that and see where that goes. But right now, GFS less enthused. The European model is less enthused, but now the trend's been on the UK Met. The GFS is starting to push this back further northwest. It didn't, even though it only has it down this area here. It's more than it's had in its previous runs. Didn't have anything getting in there, but it's starting to creep it up north to the northwest. And of course, the NAM is also on board now, even though it's at max range, and the Canadian as well. So we'll be keep an eye on this and see if this is going to give us some snow here Monday night, Tuesday. Of course, follow us for updates on the Facebook page. We'll give you. And then in our private group also. Going past this system here, it's going to be dry straight through New Year's. This is New Year's Eve, just high and dry. It's going to be colder. Same thing for the next couple days here on New Year's Day, and as we get into the weekend here, high pressure eventually going to move in here by the time we get into the Friday after New Year's. And then beyond that, they got another system that's going to be creeping in here, but which we're going to kind of steer away from this right now, because I think the evolution of this is completely false. I think we have a lot of cold air in the place here at this time, and the models are trying to cut this thing into the Great Lakes here. I don't think that's correct, or at least if it does try to do that, it should actually redevelop another area of low pressure off the coast here as a secondary if it's going to try to cut into the cold air here. The cold air is in place, so what the models are showing the long range now, I would not trust. Taken with a grain of salt. And of course, then we'll decide what we're going to be talking about as far as precipitation type. Maybe we're talking about a snow and ice over to rain deal, or we could be talking about a mostly snow event. We'll get that a little narrowed down as we get closer. This would be out in January 3rd now, so we got quite a bit of time to look at this. We're talking about the following weekend before this all works itself out. But right now, we're just concerning ourselves with this bit of snow that could come in here Monday night into Tuesday morning. Not a big deal, but it could be enough to impact some travel on Tuesday morning if we do get a couple inches of snow on the roads or whatever. So we'll narrow that down and get a little bit closer and hopefully come up with a better idea of what's happening by that point over the weekend. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Marchich. That is your outlook for the weekend, December 27th and 28th, 2014. Have a great Saturday.